going on, Dragon Ball fans? Welcome back to another Dragon Ball fan manga review, where today we're going to be reviewing a fan manga entitled Beyond Dragon Ball Super, which is a fan-made manga set to take place before Beerus' arrival on Earth in Battle of Gods, in which ultimately centers its story around Vegito never having to defuse and instead being the main character of the entire show. As for many years now, I've been reviewing and introducing all kinds of Dragon Ball fan mangas to the world created by the community for the community, so if you guys are interested in seeing and reading up on incredible stories and concepts such as Dragon Ball AF, Dragon Ball Legendary, Dragon Ball New Age, Dragon Ball X, and many others, then feel free to check out the Dragon Ball fan manga playlist in the description box for more videos such as this, as right now we are going to be diving into a brand new manga chapter. As before we begin, if you are new to this channel, hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications to be the first to know when a new video is posted onto this channel, as we kick off Beyond Dragon Ball manga chapter number 1 with the narration having to state, despite the powerful enemies that threatened Earth before, Goku and his friends were always able to defeat them, having to recap Frieza, Cell, the androids, King Cold, Deborah, Demon King Piccolo, the Saiyans, the Ginyu Force, as the narration continues in stating Majin Buu, the most powerful enemy to date, had ended up on Earth and began absorbing all of the warriors who faced him. It was then that Goku and Vegeta decided to sacrifice their individual identities to end the threat, creating the all-powerful Vegito. As of course these particular events predate the arrival of Beerus, we see how Vegito cries out, "Are you ready?" as the narration continues in stating, with power no mortal had ever achieved before, Vegito easily decimated Majin Buu, and thus saved his friends. Upon realizing how much Buu had destabilized after this separation, Vegito immediately destroyed him, and once again re-establishing peace on Earth, which insinuates that Vegito had not only freed his friends from Majin Buu, but fully destroyed Kid Buu after having to revert back to his original form. As we go back on Earth, we see how a bank heist is beginning to take place, as one of the criminals cries out, "Get back or we'll kill the girl," and the cops don't know what to do, as one of the criminals goes on to state, "We've got to hurry before that Great Saiyaman arrives." But instead of the Great Saiyaman showing up, we see how Vegito shows up instead, and we see how the criminals are taken back and stating, "There's only one thing left to do," as one of the criminals' partners goes on to reply by stating, "I know," in which they both give up. Realizing the fact that Vegito is of course too much for both of them to even handle, Vegito goes on to state, "Give up? Nobody's leaving here just yet," and we see how Vegito instantly moves in, knocking some sense into the criminals, basically beating them down, not to the point of killing them, but more or less teaching them a valuable lesson. As Vegito looks on over, the little girl that was held hostage runs out to her mom and crying, "Mommy," and Vegito seems to laugh. He's smiling at the fact that he was able to do something good, and even after he goes on to state, "Well, time to take care of the rest. Don't do this again," and flies off, basically leaving the criminals in the hands of the cops now. But over back at Capsule Corp, we see how Trunks is running around with Bulma having to fix something within the gravity room, as she goes on to state, "Hey Trunks, have you seen your father yet?" As Trunks goes on to reply by stating, no. Not for a long time actually, as then out of nowhere Vegito appears and stating, "Good morning," as Bulma looks on over and stating, "Oh, you finally arrived. I made some improvements to the gravity chamber. It's ready now." As Trunks goes on to state, "Yeah, I mean, you said I'd train with you today, right?" As Vegito goes on to state, "Of course," with Bulma having to reply by stating the machine can now generate up to 3,000 Gs. "I hope you don't just stay in there all day," and Vegito's like, "Great," and Trunks is like, "I think I'd better go and see if Goten wants to play instead," and Vegito's like, "But wait, I thought you wanted to train," as basically Trunks realizes that 3,000 Gs just might be too much for him. And as we go back into the gravity room, we see how Vegito is beginning to train, and train intensely. Very similar to the training that Vegeta had always done within the gravity chamber, we see how Vegito is not letting up on his training, but instead constantly improving, increasing his speed, increasing his power, doing everything that he possibly could to improve his skills by any means necessary, even if it is at the cost of 3,000 Gs. But a little afterwards, we see Vegito in normal clothing, as he goes on to state, even with 300 G, it's still not enough. I mean, maybe I should ask if Gohan wants to train. or maybe go to King Kai's and just lift some weights. I don't know what to do. And he's kicking back on the couch. He's trying to figure things out and trying to get stronger because it looks like 300 Gs, 3000 Gs. It doesn't seem to be enough to give Vegito the intense training that he so desperately seeks. As Vegito kicks back up off the couch and saying, "I forgot," and uses instant transmission to go to Goku's house. As quickly as he could, he goes on to state, "Hey Chi-Chi." As Chi-Chi turns around, she thinks it's Goku and stating, "Is it my go?" No, with Vegito having to state, "It's me." And Chi-Chi's like, "Oh no, you have to put this on." And poor Vegito ends up doing Goku's original job and basically mowing the lawn, doing chores, and he's so bored just sitting there as Goten goes on to state, "Dad, I brought you lunch." And Vegito's like, "Oh, hey Goten, it's you." And he's so happy that he finally got food as Vegito goes on to state, "I thought school would have finished later." And Goten's like, "Dad, today's Sunday." And Vegito's like, "Oh, yeah, so it is, right." And Goten's like, "I thought today you were going to train." As Vegito is eating, basically having a moment to himself, he goes on to state, "Oh, well, yeah, of course I did. I mean, I plan to go to King Kai's after I'm finished here, so that'll hold me up." As Goten asks, "Will you let me use the tractor?" And Vegito's like, "Well, of course not. What kind of irresponsible father would do that?" And Goten's like, "Well, Dad, I mean, look, it's Mr. Satan." And we see how Hercule pulls up and Vegito makes like this really annoying kind of expression because it looks like he's really not happy to see Hercule there. And we see over out somewhere else, Piccolo is actually doing something with Gohan, and it looks like they're training. And this might be the exact location where Gohan lives currently because we see Piccolo in fighting position against Ultimate Gohan, very similar to Dragon Ball Super, as Piccolo goes on to ask Gohan and stating, "Ready, Gohan?" And Gohan's like, "Of course," as we finally get to see Piccolo and Ultimate Gohan engage in some form of training. And this is a really cool moment because Piccolo is also trying to sharpen his skills while assisting Gohan and helping him out as well, as Gohan at this given point overwhelms Piccolo so much that he drives him through a wall as Piccolo stands forth and stating, "I hope that you didn't think that that would stop me," as Gohan goes on to reply by stating, "Of course not," as Piccolo replies by stating, "Good," and instantly increases his power, and Gohan's very shocked. Gohan's like, "What?" And Piccolo doesn't seem to also let up either, as he goes on to state, "Let's try one more time, shall we?" And Gohan's like, "Of course." So as they're fighting outside, we see how Videl comes in, and right before Piccolo and Gohan can engage, Gohan's like, "Videl?" As Videl replies by stating, "I should have not let you two train out here." And Piccolo's like, "Before you wanted us to train," and she's like, "Not like this," as Gohan replies by stating, "You could train now. Also, can you still fly?" And Videl's like, "I'm not training with you guys. What are you talking about?" As Piccolo goes on to state the Great Saiyaman number 2 has to stay in shape, basically making the insinuation that sure, if Videl wants to be the Great Saiyaman number 2, she has to keep up with her training, and she smiles by stating, "Says the all-powerful Piccolo who still can't keep up with Gohan." And Piccolo's aggravated. He's like, "Meh, good. After all, he is my student." As Videl continues by asking Gohan, "Gohan, you said that you had a really important meeting today." As Gohan says, "Oh, you're right, I almost forgot about it." As Videl continues in stating, "I'll leave the books you asked for here. I don't understand why you've all trained so much lately, especially you, Gohan, but if you are worried about the land, we have the strongest warrior here, no?" As Gohan replies by stating, "The strongest? That's what worries me." As Videl replies by stating, "Oh, that again," with Gohan having to rebuttal by stating, "You say that, but he isn't my father or Vegeta. How could we even trust him?" As Videl replies by stating, "It's been several years since then. He may still be struggling to adjust, but he does the best that he can to fit in." As over out somewhere in the universe, we have ourselves Beerus having to eat delicacies of the planet provided by its people, as Beerus goes on to yawn and saying, "Let's go back," with Whis having to ask, "And what will happen to this planet?" with Beerus having to reply by stating, "The food of this planet does not interest me anymore. Besides, I remembered something," very eerily similar to the very first episode of Dragon Ball Super, as Beerus easily looks on over to the people of the planet, taps his finger, and completely annihilates the planet that he was residing on, with Whis having to later ask, "So, in the end you decided that you were finished with this planet, right? So what was it that you found so important?" As Beerus is in space with Whis and having to state, "It doesn't matter, we have better things to do anyway. 39 years ago, the Oracle Fish predicted that a rival for me would appear." And Whis is like, "A rival?" with Beerus having to state, "Yes, the Super Saiyan God." And Whis is like, "Super Saiyan God? Are you sure about that? And Beerus is like, let's go, Whis. We must go back and ask the Oracle Fish. And very similar with the Kais, we see how they are nervous as well, as the Elder Kai goes on to state, what's this? Beerus destroyed yet another important planet? But that's not what worries me the most. We must not allow Vegito to meet Beerus, lest a catastrophe occurs. As we see later on in Capsule Corp, Bulma is sleeping, but she finds herself waking up with Vegito not being next to her. As she walks on out into the living room, she goes on to spot Vegito on the couch. As she goes on to state, so this is where you were? It's not like you to be worried, as Vegito goes on to state, I feel something strange. This energy is stronger than before. It's making me worry about our baby. And Bulma's like, quiet. You will protect us. And Vegito's like, no, it's not that. It's just, I don't think this is something I can stop, as the manga chapter comes to a close. And I think this was a decent recap in seeing everything Vegito had been doing before Beerus' arrival, as they basically switched out the roles of Goku in replacement for Vegito, and I really cannot wait to see what Vegito is going to do against Beerus in the next chapter, which you guys can find on this channel within the next 24 hours. But I also feel like Vegito up until this point has been training, but he does not seem to understand the power that's out there, especially being a god of destruction. Remember, Beerus at this point had never engaged or met Goku, nor has Vegito went to King Kai's yet to train. So at some given point, we are going to get to see the engagement between Vegito and Beerus at some given point, but the question lingers, what exactly is going to happen once this actually occurs? How strong is Vegito going to be next to Beerus, and is Vegito going to achieve Super Saiyan God and having to battle against Beerus by the end? We would like to get your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching, guys. If you guys are stoked, ready, and excited for Beerus to meet Vegito in the next manga chapter, in which you guys can find on this channel, to make sure you guys go ahead and slap a like down below. If of course you guys are new to this channel and love anime and Dragon Ball, don't forget to punch that subscribe button, tune back in for more, enable all notifications to never miss a single upload. This is pretty cool, I would have to say. Even though I felt as if this manga chapter was a tad bit slow, it kind of gave us a little bit of an insight as to what Vegito had been up to, trying to be a family man, trying to work out two families at once, only by the end to have this unshakable feeling that something is coming to Earth, something in which he can't prevent on his own either. So things are most definitely going to be interesting as we carry on. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you all once more for watching, and I'll be seeing you all for part 2 of Beyond Dragon Ball. Take it easy, everybody. Peace.
This is the Galactic Emperor of the Universe, and of course I'm here to tell you to subscribe to UnrealEntGaming and all his social media platforms. Also, don't forget to turn on notifications so you can be the first to know every time that he uploads a new video.
Oh, did someone say UnrealEntGaming? Oh my god!
The fuck, Zarbon? Put on some clothes!
Well, why don't you put on any clothes?
What? I don't need clothes! Jesus Christ, that's huge!